What's up, everyone? Welcome to the HVAC podcast. Today, joining us, we have Courtney Norris with Alan Norris, HVAC, in Forsyth County, Georgia. These guys are one of my favorite people to talk to. Recently, I had Alan Norris, the owner, but today I have Courtney Norris, his daughter. And exactly like you're more than just a dispatcher, you do everything, right? So, talk a little bit more about your role, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of everything for sure. So I answer all the phones, I dispatch, I schedule, I do all that, kind of behind the scenes stuff, daily office stuff. But I always say that my title is professional Alan Norris handler, because at any given moment, he can call me and be like, where am I supposed to be? What am I working on? What have I forgotten? And that's one of the things about us being so similar that works really well is I kind of live in his brain. So it's like a backup brain for him. So
Exactly.
I'm the brain trust, I guess. I do a little bit of everything. I help with our marketing. I work with those guys quite a bit that we use. Uh, and I'm always working in the background too. I'm always thinking about our next steps and kind of just rattling ideas off with him too. It's I'm involved on every level, and I have been inside of attics. I go in attics every once in a while, not a whole lot.
Okay. I have yet to be inside an attic yet. Don't want to be in it yet. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat because you, Al Norris, has your company has have invested in a lot of things. Marketing company, Facebook ads, Google ads, Grant Cardone, our mastermind. My I just want to get your opinion on all of these from an outsider's perspective on how it affects the company each way. Because a lot of times what happens is people focus on the business owner and how it affects the business owner, but everyone under the company that affects them too. So let's start off with your first agency that did Facebook ads, and I think they did Google ads with you as well. And maybe you took off Facebook ads. Let's start there and tell us about what worked well for you and what didn't. Because a lot of the viewers here, they're looking to make their next investment somewhere elsewhere, and they just don't know. And if they gotta listen to anyone, they gotta listen to you because you're smart. So that's why I'm putting it there. And you guys invested a lot in different things, so it's just good for the viewers to know different types of investments.
Yeah, so well, just to kind of preface how we got into that. So we did 20 years basically in business with zero marketing spend. We were strictly word of mouth. We had no advertising, nothing. It was just all word of mouth. And we kind of hit a plateau there with what we were doing business wise, and we want to grow. And so we decided that the first step to that growth was to have more business. So let's start doing some marketing. Let's get, in front of people that we're not normally in front of. So we connected with these guys that we started working with in November of last year. And we started off, building a web page, having a Google presence, getting that built up to where it's actually, a thing, and Google recognizes that you're a legitimate business. So we did all that starting with them in November. I think everything kind of finally launched around January. And we started with Facebook ads and Google just to kind of feel out how that was going to go. We did the Facebook ads, I want to say, for maybe 2 to 3 months. We tried to give it enough time to where we were seeing what the result of it was. But it was more problematic than anything. We were getting some calls, but we would get calls where we'd get information and we'd call the person back and they would say, like, I never called you. I'm not looking for an HVAC person. So I think, it's like one of those finicky, weird things with Facebook and their algorithm. And I don't know if it's like some kind of bot interference or people are unknowingly submitting their information. They didn't mean to. I'm not sure how all that was working, but so we pulled the plug on that after about 3 months and just focused on Google. So we have a local services that we're working with them on, and we then have our my Google business page as well. And that's been pretty successful for us. We've definitely gotten in front of people that we wouldn't have gotten in front of. We have penetrated new neighborhoods, which was something that was really important to us, because once we penetrate a neighborhood, that word of mouth that did us so well for 20 years, it keeps going. So that initial kind of getting into the neighborhood is really where we were trying to get over that hurdle. So that's been really successful. And but it took work on our part too. They helped us, they helped build the website, but we had to get reviews for Google. We had to show that we were legitimate. And we did the legwork on that. I think we got 100 reviews within like 2 months, 2 to 3 months.
How did you, so there's companies here that have been on Google My Business for over a decade and they're sitting at 30 reviews. So how did you guys in 2 months get 100 5-star reviews? I know the answer is like you guys are badass, but like realistically, like how did you go through that process to get those reviews?
Um, honestly, we're really shameless. We don't take no for an answer. I mean, that's really what it is. And with reviews, the thing about reviews is once you leave somebody's house, even if you've done a fantastic job, most people are not going to leave a review unless they're really, really upset. And those are not the reviews you want. So even if they're the nicest person on the face of the planet and you're saying, here's my link, leave me a review. I know you loved me. If they don't do it in front of you, the likelihood that they're going to do it just diminishes the second you walk out the door. So Alan really gamified it for himself. He likes a challenge. So he kind of had a number in mind. Like he really wanted to get at least one a day. He wanted to get one from everybody that he saw. So if he went on 3 calls in one day, if he did not leave with 3 reviews, he would have himself. So we had the little we had some what do you call those? The NFC cards, the near
NFC
field.
cards, the
Yeah.
necklace. He always has
Yes.
it.
Yes, he always has it. He does not leave the house without it. That's part of his uniform. And that as we hire more technicians, that's kind of how we're training them to treat that. That's part of your uniform. You don't leave without your NFC card, and you don't leave a customer's house without getting a review. Pull it up, give them every opportunity while you're there. So really that's it. I mean, just shamelessly, just, hey, I know you love me. Give me a review. I want to stay in business so I can keep helping you because you did love me so much. And this is how I'm going to get there. This is how I'm going to sustain just this one quick review. So,
Okay. Perfect. That's good advice for anyone that's not generating reviews. Reviews is a good way to pull up and rank organically. So if you don't want to do any paid marketing, reviews allows you to pull up more and infiltrate more neighborhoods. And it will allow you to get more reviews than your competition because your competition doesn't have that mindset. They're just going to sit there and hope to get another review and send out links. So the fact that you guys do that is great. I can't believe you guys did 100 that fast. A lot of the technical Google people was like, that's too quick. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't think it matters, to be honest. Okay. So you invested in that. At the same time, you guys did you guys invest in any Grant Cardone Ventures 360 thing, or what did you guys take from that?
yeah. So we started, well, Alan started he went to his first one in January. And
Okay.
that was the one in Arizona, which was I think it's called the Business Summit or something to that effect. It's kind of that general information one that you
Yeah,
first.
Business Summit. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he started with the Business Summit and he really liked a lot of what they had to say. And he kind of went home and did a little more research. And then we actually signed up for the 360, the 10X 360.
Mhm.
And we went down to Orlando and did that. And that we got a lot out of because we were kind of missing a lot of processes and just things that are, when you get a job for somebody else, they already have those things in line for you, right? This is how we do training, this is how we
Yeah.
measure, all those kinds of things. So we did the 10X 360 in I believe that was February or March of this year. And we got a ton out of that, and we just kind of took home that information and started applying it, and we're still kind of recalling to some of that. We took a break from that over the summer just because it's the busy season. Alan went out to Arizona and met you. And I think
Yeah.
that was actually at a business summit as well. He was at the wrong event. Something got confused with the tickets. So
Everything works for everything. He was definitely at the wrong event. But
he was.
everything works out for a reason.
It does. And that, we have that attitude about everything that we try too. That's kind of something that we do. So, with marketing, with Grant Cardone, even if you don't love 100% of what they're offering, there's something there that you can get. And we have that mentality about everything. I mean, the mastermind classes that you guys do on Tuesdays, I get at least something small out of that every single week. There's
Yeah.
always something that comes up in conversation that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. So he met you, which was awesome. And that was the best thing that came out of that wasted trip. But yeah, so we brought a lot of that stuff home, and it gave us a lot to think about, and about the way we've been doing things, and how to grow and how to scale.
Yeah.
And I think we chose probably the worst year to decide to do those things.
I mean,
um, but
it's
it's
definitely
gone.
a challenging year for sure.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a
growth.
challenging year to do those things, but Alan started his business right before the housing market crashed, and he was one of the only HVAC companies in his area to turn a profit in 2008.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can you talk
so
about that little car truck thing he had, like how he first started? Because that's a cool story, real quick. Just pop.
so he had this 1994 Pathfinder
Yeah.
that he had bought. So he bought it when I was a kid. I mean, the thing was old. Um, so he had this little 1994 Pathfinder, and he was literally, he had his little gauges in the back and everything. Like he was running service calls out of that thing. He's always been the type to, if he's going to jump out and do something, he's going to do it, and not let's go buy all the equipment, let's go do this, let's go do this. He
Yeah.
just started on the ground, and that was really, he had gotten in contact with some people from some warehouses and things where he had had little odd jobs here and there, and that was how he broke in, was in the Pathfinder, with nobody else and never having worked for another HVAC company. So it was really impressive. And
Yeah.
it was right in the midst of all that. And, there were people going out of business left and right because nobody was building. Nobody was spending money. It was pretty rough. But he took jobs wherever he could get them. I mean, he was driving like 2 hours away. If people would call him for something, he didn't tell anybody no. He took every job there
Yeah.
was that he could get. So he grounded out for a few years, but it worked out.
And you said something like people may think that your dad like maybe did training or something. Like he went to school for HVAC, but before that, what was he doing?
Oh goodness. So he and I are a lot alike, and I can kind of launch into this after I talk about him a little bit, because I kind of followed a very similar path. But
Oh,
so he has a chemistry degree. That was what he went to school for. He went to college, got a chemistry degree. He worked as a chemist. He actually has two chemical patents. Um, and
crazy. I didn't know that.
you didn't know that?
No, that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
he has two chemical patents for a chemical process that extracts kaolin clay out
Okay.
of dirt. He'll tell you all about it. He knows all the details. But yeah, so he actually has two chemical patents. He and I are very similar. We have a hard time working for other people. Um, Not because we are stubborn. We like things done a certain way. We take a lot of pride in what we do. We both work really hard. But we have a hard time finding alignment working for other people,
Mhm.
because of a lot of those things. So he kind of bounced around. He was a plant manager. We moved to Texas. We moved once a year when I was a kid for like 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a plant manager for a pipe company and bounced around with that for a little bit. He kind of finally decided he wanted to be in Atlanta because that's where the money was and that's where the money was growing. And it was close enough to where we're from in middle Georgia that we were still not too far away from family. So he decided he wanted to be in Atlanta and he wanted to do something. He wanted to work for himself and he wanted to be in a trade. So he started working for a like a temp service.
Hmm.
And at the same time, he was waiting tables at night. He was working for the temp service during the day, and he was waiting tables at night. And he told the temp service, he said, I want to be in like an HVAC warehouse. I want to be somewhere where I can meet those guys. I can make those connections because he had kind of decided that HVAC was where he wanted to be because you have to have a license for HVAC. Plumbers can go, you have to have a license to purchase the equipment. Plumbers can go to Home Depot and call themselves a plumber and buy whatever they need and come to your house and fix your stuff. HVAC guys can't do that. So because of that barrier, he decided that's where he wanted to be. And they didn't want to put him in the warehouses. They're like, man, you have no HVAC experience. Like you have been a plant manager. You're overqualified for all of these jobs. Like what do you think you want to work in a warehouse? And he's like, I'll push a broom. So he did. He pushed a broom in an HVAC warehouse, and he just was him. You've met him. You know how he is.
Yeah.
He's larger than life,
Right.
personality wise, and
His video
he
just crossed 1,000 views. People
did
like it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That video was dope. I like that video a lot.
Yeah, I show it to people all the time and they're like, that's your I had people message me. I posted it on my Facebook. And I had like friends from high school and stuff that messaged me and were like, dude, I forgot how cool your dad was. I just want to hang out with him. Like it
Yeah,
was great.
dude.
But yeah, so he pushed a broom in a warehouse and he made friends with people there and kind of made some connections and started working under a couple of guys
Mhm.
and doing odd jobs for them. And then he went to school and then he got his license, and that's where it went from there.
Hell yeah. Dang, and then Al Norris HVAC came to be. So 20 years, no marketing. This is the year you guys started doing the investments when everything's a crap show. But I mean, like it's like history, right? You guys started this thing when it was a crapshoot again. Election year, the housing stuff, like the economy is all weird, similar, right? So what is that? Like I always believe that things happen in patterns. So like during the fall there will be another rise. So dude, you guys are definitely gonna hit your goals. And a lot of what Lucas and I, the other owner of the mastermind, talk about is you guys. Because we're like, you guys got the what's the word? The mentality to take on all the jobs, to do everything, to be coachable, to triple your freaking prices. Can you talk a little bit about that? You tripled your prices. Was that weird to triple it? What did you guys think?
Um, yeah, so it was really weird. It was really, really uncomfortable for Alan.
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
one of those things that I talked about, alignment with working for other people is he doesn't like to feel like he's taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
So he kind of he never really got into it like, hey, I want to be a billionaire. That was never the goal from the beginning. The goal was for him to be able to have a job that he didn't have to answer to anybody but himself because he was a terrible employee, and be able to make enough money to sustain us and us be comfortable as a family.
Mhm.
That was always the goal. So he never set out to have exorbitant prices, but what he kind of discounts on himself and doesn't give himself enough credit for is that people are willing to pay for what he has to offer, what we have to offer.
100%.
And you don't have to be the cheapest guy out there, and you don't have to be a charity either. You can help people. You are helping people. You're providing a service. You're more comfortable, whatever that looks like. But you don't have to give it away for free. It's still a business at the end of the day. So he's definitely getting more comfortable with that. And honestly, I think because he hasn't received a ton of pushback, it was easier than I thought it was going to be because nobody's really balking at the prices so far because we're still not the most expensive people out there.
Yeah. You're not the most expensive?
I would say we're just under the most expensive. We're
Okay.
not the most expensive, but we're up there. But
So
not the
by
most.
you tripling your prices, is that making not only like, is that making your company more profitable? Like, is that like, what are you able to do now that you guys have tripled your prices? And also, yeah, just leave it there. Like, what have you been able to do now that you've been able to triple your prices? I think you did this a month ago,
Yeah,
maybe.
we started raising stuff. Yeah, probably about a month ago. It was
Okay.
right after we went and visited with Lucas,
Yeah.
right after we came back. So,
Lucas is bad, dude. I love that guy. He's dope.
he's hilarious. He's
He's
a
funny.
character for sure. We had fun hanging out with him. It was a good
Yeah.
time. I'm sure you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but so yeah, so not long after we came back from that, we kind of set sail with that. We have hired a technician since then, which we said that we weren't going to actually hire somebody if it didn't happen earlier in the season because we just hired somebody going into slow season. That's insane. Who does that?
A lot of
But
people.
we're okay. I mean, it's going to work out because of the way that we've done things and some other recommendations too. We started working with some of the home warranty companies like Lucas does.
Mhm.
And those are essentially free jobs. So there's no loss there for somebody new to learn, and it fills our calendar when it's a little slow. So
Yeah,
um,
talk a little bit. So, hiring someone, how easy was that? A lot of people think it's hard. A lot of people think they need to pay Indeed, all this stuff. You didn't pay Indeed, right?
No,
Okay,
no, no, no,
tell
no.
me
We did the
about,
free.
yeah, tell me about what you guys did there. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, I need to hire. I'm on phones probably 5 times a week with HVAC owners and like, I need to hire someone before I do this. And I'm like, dude, it's really easy to hire someone. Like, it's not hard.
Well, so even before we started hiring, when I was in other industries, I've done a lot of hiring. I've done a lot of training and onboarding and those kinds of things in other roles that I've had. So I'm fairly familiar with it. And I, several years ago, took on the mentality that you're never going to be fantastic at hiring,
Yep.
because people are out there that can mislead you in one way or another. And they might show up to the interview and be the best interview you've ever had. And then they show up to work and it's a crapshoot and you get a totally different person. Yeah, they flip
Yep.
the script on you. And I did hiring for restaurants. Like, do you know how often that happens in restaurants?
Oh,
Uh,
hey, dude, restaurants are wild.
yeah.
Yes, I did a lot of hiring in my early years. So I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Restaurant hiring is rough.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so you're never going to be great at hiring, and you just have to kind of set that aside and get over yourself. You're never going to be perfect at it. You can be really good at firing people.
Yeah,
You can be really good at rectifying your mistakes. If you hired somebody and they're the wrong person, you can get really good at getting rid of those people. But you're never going to be great at hiring. But you can, if you hire the right person, and the right person is not somebody who's incredibly knowledgeable. It's not somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. The right person is all about attitude. Somebody that comes in, they're hungry, they're willing to learn, and they have a positive attitude. That's it.
I agree.
That's all I need for hiring. I can train you on anything else.
So how so when you did your Indeed, like, well, you walk through that process of like how you found I think you found two techs, you hired one, and then you realized that's not the right one, and then you got another one. You didn't give up. You're like, "Oh, I'm not hiring anymore, right? So can you talk about that process?
Yeah, so we posted on Indeed. We did the free Indeed. It was a very simple, and we didn't even post for an HVAC technician. We posted for a general labor position.
Yep, that's
Um,
a secret right there.
yep. So we
That
posted that, and
people
that
people pay for that. So if you're
yeah.
watching this, you know the secret. Join the masterminds. Anyways.
Yeah, that was a Lucas tip that he told
Yeah.
us when we were actually physically out there. So we posted that. We had decent response. We posted it fairly low as far as the wage because, if they grow and if they work out, there is potential for commission. But I'm not going to post something saying that that they're going to make, $100,000 the first year. That's misleading.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but the potential is there. So hopefully. So we had a little bit of response. I think we ended up with maybe like 30 applications over the course of 2 weeks. It was a lot slower than the response that
30
Lucas had.
applications.
Yeah. Lucas said he had something like 80 within a week. His
Yeah.
was a lot faster.
But you should see what they do at like the home service summits. They'll pull out someone's Indeed and they're like, you only have 4 applications in the first month. So the fact that you guys got 30 is so good. Lucas
Yeah.
is just on crack. Like he's
Yeah,
just
I don't know how he did that. We literally posted the same thing. I was like, "Can I use yours? Are you okay with that?" The job description, and he sent it to me and I posted the exact same thing, same wages, and his response was triple mine. But so we
location.
had about 30 applications. We did a handful of interviews. We had one guy and he called back and I had a few concerns about it because he was still in school for business and marketing. So I don't know that necessarily that's really where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
He called a couple days before he was supposed to start and said, "Hey, I've taken another job, blah blah blah." So that was a little bit of a letdown because we were excited about him. He interviewed well. He had a good personality and things. But it is what it is. So we did a couple more interviews after that, just kind of kept on trucking. As soon as he told me he wasn't starting, I had interviews that afternoon. I pulled back up to Indeed and because I communicated with a ton of people and just kind of set that precedent first and started those conversations so that
Yeah.
I could go back to them and be like, "Hey, let's do an in-person interview." So we ended up interviewing with this young guy. I talked to him on the phone for about 30 minutes and just kind of picked his brain, tried to get to know him a little bit. And at the very end of the conversation, and he was very quiet. He's a really quiet guy. He can open up once he gets to know you, but at first he's really, really quiet. And I wasn't super excited about him, honestly. But at the very end of the conversation, he said, "Hey, by the way, um, I've worked with Alan before." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? I don't know your name." And he said, "I was in scouts with him." So Alan's heavily involved in scouts and has been for a long time. And so this guy actually came up in scouts with him,
Oh,
and
cool.
had worked with him on projects in scouts because dad does a lot of like physical projects for them.
Yeah.
And so I called him and I said, "Hey, do you remember this kid from a few years ago?" And he said, yeah, I remember him. Yeah, bring him in." So we did an interview in person and we ended up hiring him. not just because he worked with him in
Yeah,
Scouts,
that's a
but
bonus.
he's already gotten a taste of what it's like to work with Alan, and he was willing to do that again.
Yeah,
So that
that's
definitely worked in his favor. But yeah, I
cool.
mean, it wasn't an arduous process by any means. I don't feel like.
And he's doing warranty calls now.
Yeah, he's gone out. He's still learning. He's only been with us for about 2 weeks now.
Yeah,
So he's still riding around with Alan right now. He's with him today, but he's going to be doing some warranty calls and things like that. He worked with our install crew last week for the first time. They loved him. Everybody got along. He did a great job. So all things are moving in positive directions.
good. And warranty calls. People hear that and they're like, hell no, no money there. How have warranty calls not only filled up your calendar, but opened up more opportunity for you guys to make more revenue? Because people, I mean, the consensus that warranty calls are just crap. Like, and you get bad reviews. So, you guys are clearly on the other side of the warranty calls. So, just could you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, and Alan was definitely one of those people. When Lucas first started talking about the warranty calls, Alan was like, "Nope, never gonna happen."
I
Um,
remember.
yeah, he just, I mean, he just full on was like, "I'm not doing that." And his whole thing is that the warranty calls, he feels like the warranty companies typically don't want to help the customer, and that's kind of what he's all about. So that was why he was uneasy about them. So we started doing them. We've been doing it for about 2, maybe 3 weeks. It's filling up our calendar when it's slow. And they're flexible. I mean, if they call, kind of what I've done, they call us with these warranty calls and they'll say, "Hey, I've got one here, I've got one here." I kind of push them off for a couple of days. They don't get top priority. Our customers do.
Yeah,
So what I'll do is kind of push them off until, 3 or 4 days out. And then if we have something open up sooner, I'll call them. I'll call the warranty customers and say, "Hey, we've got some openings a little bit earlier. Let's go out there." So that's kind of how we've handled them. So we don't give them top priority, which makes them not feel overwhelming, because we can kind of get all of our priority needs done first and then we go to theirs. They're really a filler, they're kind of extra. But we had one where the warranty was not going to be approved and it was very obvious from the beginning. I think this was the first one actually that we went to.
wow.
It's very obvious that the warranty was not going to be approved, and the unit was really, really dirty, hasn't been maintained, had all kinds of issues. So Alan just explained that to the customer. He put everything in with the warranty. It was, he got the service fee. That's what we got paid for, and then we get a small fee from the warranty company. Boom, you're done. So it's not, it's good learning, especially for your newer technicians,
Mhm.
because he can see that and say, "Okay, this is what it looks like when this hasn't been maintained. This is where we go from here." And there's no loss. There's no money loss there.
Yeah.
And you're not losing time because you're not doing it when you're busy. You can turn those things off once it picks up. So I'm happy about it. It's worked out well so far.
Have you guys retained any customers from the warranty calls?
Um, I believe that we will.
Okay.
I think it's too soon to tell since we've only been doing it for a few weeks. But we did,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, we did have one last week that ended up turning into a repair, so it was a little bit of extra money. And the warranty company was great. They approved it really quickly. We submitted it while Alan was actually on site, and they approved it within 10 minutes. And he had the parts, so it got repaired on site. The guy was really happy, and he actually has a couple of houses. So
Oh,
and he said, "I've had a hard time. A lot of those warranty calls, they're really having a hard time finding somebody, whether it's an underserved area or people just don't want to go out there or whatever it is." So those people that live in those areas are really thankful because they have a hard time finding good people to come do work a lot of times. And that was what the guy communicated to me. "You guys came, you did a good job. I'd like to use you again." So I think
good.
we will retain people from it for sure.
That's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. Well, real quick, before we hop off, I do want to ask, like, how has the mastermind, that we host for you guys, like, helped you, your company, your dad, and maybe even your mom? I don't know if your mom has peace of mind. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I love seeing how it affects what we do affects families and the whole business. So do you want to talk about that? And you could be 100% honest. If it sucks, it sucks. That's on me. But I'm
No,
confident in what we provide for you guys.
No, like I was saying earlier, I mean, I always, and Alan and I actually just had this conversation because if he's not on him, he'll call me and be like, immediately, he's, what happened? What's going on? I get a lot out of it. Whether it's whatever the topic is that day,
Yeah.
even if it's not that specific thing that I get out of it, just the conversations that open up with everybody on there, it kind of gets your gears turning and you're like, oh wait, I didn't think about that. The way that they're doing things, it gives you a lot of insight that you're not going to get that from people that are in your market, people that you meet. They're not going to tell you that kind of thing. I was writing down something that Lucas, the website that he was showing us with the infographic for the IAQs.
Hmm.
I love that. I wrote that down immediately. I'm recreating one very similar for us to have in folders. It just little things like that. I mean, I always get something out of it. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it. As far as my mom, peace of mind, I don't know. You've met Ellen. She has no peace, that poor woman. Um, no, she's seen the heartache. She's seen what it's like to watch him own a business. She's a nurse.
Oh,
And so she's one of those people. She gets up, she goes to work, she comes home at the end of her shift and she leaves it there. She has zero interest in working outside of those hours. She has zero interest in thinking about work. If you asked her if she wanted to own her own business, she would laugh at you. Uh,
yeah.
she doesn't. So, she sees it, but she can really tell with everything that we've done the past few months and doing these masterminds and just having a little more involvement and honestly community, because you don't have community with people who are your competition per se.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah.
So, it's kind of a community where you can bounce things off of. What are you guys struggling with? What's working for you? How are you overcoming that? So having those things in place and seeing some success this year, she can tell how optimistic he is. If he starts to get pessimistic, because he's not a pessimistic person whatsoever. So when he's in a positive mindset and he's feeling encouraged, that's like at his best. And she can tell that's what he's got going on right now. So all good things.
That's good. Are there any specific results or wins that you've had since joining the mastermind? I don't want to take all credit because you guys invested in a lot of things this whole year, but any like wins this year? This is a hard year for a lot of HVAC owners, and I just want to take this opportunity to see if you guys have any wins from being around that circle or any other investments. It doesn't have to be the mastermind.
I think honestly, we've kind of talked at it. We're looking at the numbers. We had really big goals for this year with the investments that we've made and everything that we've done. We made a lot of changes. And we're impatient. Everybody is. You want to see, the fruits of your
Yeah,
labor faster. It's why I'm a terrible gardener because I'm out there every morning. Like, have you grown? Have you grown yet today?
I can't make
Um,
I can't make my plants grow, dude. I don't know how to do it. Or maybe Arizona's too hot. I can't tell, but my
I,
plants not.
I would just chalk it up to Arizona being too hot. I feel like that's a good excuse. You guys can grow cactus or something, right?
I grew in Oregon, not even Arizona.
But so I think really for us this year, we've seen a lot of growth as far as new customers. We have a lot more new customers this year than we have had in the previous years. Um, Financially, we're not going to see the growth that we wanted to see this year, but I'm very, very optimistic that we will next year because I think that we're going to be really close to what we did last year financially. And to me, that's a win because we didn't go backward. A lot of people went backwards this year. They didn't even maintain what they normally do.
A lot of
So
Yeah, a lot of HVAC owners, and just any business owner really, they're like when summer's their busy season, they like look forward to that to, have their winter nut. And it's just the harvest was smaller this year. So a lot of people are freaking out.
it
Yeah.
was, and we saw that too. And there was a moment, just kind of looking at the bank account at the end of the summer, what you expect to see versus what you do see. There was definitely a moment of, well, that's not where we wanted to be. But there was another moment after that of, we don't have to feast or famine anymore because we have done things, we've put things in place where we're going to be busy this fall. We're going to be busy into the winter, even if it's mild, because we've got these warranty things going on. We're working on the IAQ stuff. We're doing maintenance packages. So we're doing things to force ourselves to continue to make money and not just say, okay, feast or famine, summer's over, we're done.
It's such a weird mindset when people are like, "Oh, it's winter. I'm gonna like just rely on my summer and not do anything about it. It's just so weird to me. So that's why I like working with people like you guys who are like, you know, that similar mindset. I was gonna ask you, what are you planning to do for the winter, but you already answered that question. So thank you for doing that. You have been great on this podcast. I appreciate you. Is there anything else, any piece of advice that you want to give out there, especially not from an owner's perspective, but from the perspective of, you know, Alan Norris 2.0 brain, you know, like just anything? Because I feel like a lot of HVAC owners have that ADHD kind of go, go, go mentality. So do you have any nuggets of knowledge?
Well, I'm gonna say find yourself a Caleb or find yourself a Courtney or somebody
Hmm.
to be a brain dump to be a backup that kind of, you know, it's a checks and balances thing. You know, have you done this? Have I done this? And we do it to each other. And when you have that ADD kind of da 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 da, and a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. They're go 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 go. They're very action minded people. Um, if you can't take a seat and stop and think and take a breath, find somebody who can do that for you. And make sure that you and whoever your 2.0 is, um, make sure that you're on the same wavelength, and it's all positivity. I think that the down in the dumps and the like, oh, we had a rough summer, oh, it's been a rough year. I think if you let that get to you and you don't keep grinding and finding ways to improve, I think that's where you die as a business, as a person, everything. Stay positive, keep grinding. Let's do it.
What a great statement. Well, this is Courtney, everyone, with Alan Norris HVAC. Thank you for watching the HVAC podcast. Goodbye, goodbye. Make sure to like and subscribe.